All right, all right, all right. What's up, folks? What's up? What's cracking? Let's get into it. Let's get into it, man. Salute to everybody watching live and those who will catch it on the archive. Let me see. Let me write this in a banner. Let me put this on here. Kanye does a complete 180. And let me put that in there because I always see people when they say like people make a turn and go the other direction. I always see people who never paid attention in school, never paid attention, especially in mathematics, and don't know the true degrees of a circle. Being you making a complete circle is a 360, meaning you start from one point, you go through all these transitions, and if you make a 360, you come right back at square one. 180 is going all the way around. You start here from a 0 degrees and you go all the way backwards, which would be a U-turn 180. So when motherfuckers talking about people making a change and going the other direction, or some people ain't standing on what they believe on, and I always hear stupid ass people say somebody did a 360, and that's not the case. So Kanye made a complete 180. So we got to correct shit. And as we better ourselves and teach people how to use the proper use of words, punctuation and writing, proper grammar, and all that other stuff. This is the age of each one teach one, making one another better, not trying to embarrass people. If you embarrass, that's on your motherfucking ass. Step your damn mental mindset up. Let me see. Let's go into this post from Kanye. Like I always said, man, years ago, man. Like I said, I peeped so much shit. And that's why I like to boast saying that I'm always right on shit. A lot of people out here, was riding with Kanye, making these derogatory statements towards Jewish people, which he has no knowledge of, weren't the people who committed some of the most atrocious shit here in America against people who look like me and most of us in here. And somehow they get thrown into the fray of a lot of shit what's going on. So let's get into this thing with Kanye. Remember the comments. Kanye need to really do derogatory shit towards these people, and especially people that he end up climbing up the economic ladder with. People who had companies that Kanye decided to go work for, rather than Kanye deciding to start his own ground up establishments. He wanted to work his way in and go working for people that he'll later come to disrespect whenever he has these agreements and fallout. And that tends to be kind of the mindset of dudes who spend majority of their upbringing around women. And so he picks up a mother-like mindset, and that's probably where he got that shit. And now he finds himself, however long it's been since he made those comments, making a total 180, making a total 180. So let's go ahead and get into this one. Let's get into this one. Let me see. Let's go into it. And there ain't a thing about if he means this apology or not. He don't have to mean he should have never said the shit. That's the thing. He should have never said it because it was unnecessary for him to even go that route that he was going. He should have stayed focused on business. He says, to those I've heard, 25 years ago, says I was in a car accident that broke my jaw and caused injuries to the right frontal lobe of my brain. So he's going right into a CTE type related reasoning. He's going into CTE reasoning for why he was making these statements towards these people. So let's continue on. No different than dissing people hoods and shit, which is a common thing people have grown to kind of accept and love to hear. They've grown into this. They have grown into this one. So he said he blaming this on this through the wire accident, which is crazy that he brings this accident up. And I was just speaking on this other day. We was doing the music live about Dave Foster and them speaking about Kanye wanting to use their Shaka Khan song "Through the Fire" and how they own the rights to that. Dave Foster wanted to break him off because of what they were going to, the type of rebirth he brought to the song and the money that would generate through it. And the lady who was part of the writing, I think it was Summer, whatever her name is. I can't think of that white lady name. Susan Summer or some shit. To where she was like, hell no, we keeping 100% of that. So that popular ass song from Kanye But Kanye, regards to taking the money, he benefited off of it as well because it thrusted him to the forefront in his rap career. But he didn't profit off any of that. So this is where he's bringing about this accident through the wire. So it damaged his frontal lobe of his brain. Says at the time, the focus was on the visual. The focus is on the visible damage, the fracture, the swelling, and the immediate physical trauma. The deeper injury, the one inside my skull, says one unnoticed. Comprehensive scans were not done. Neurological exams were limited. Says in the possibility of a frontal lobe injury, says was never raised. It wasn't properly diagnosed until 2023. That medical oversight caused says that medical oversight caused serious damage to my mental health and led to my bipolar type 1 diagnosis. So maybe Kanye got a lawsuit against these people. And he says bipolar disorder comes with its own defense systems. Denial. When you're manic, you don't think you're sick. Says you think everyone else is overreacting. Says you feel like you're, and I'm glad he's raising this because it brings up a lot of being with who Kanye is as a major celebrity, and a lot of times people need celebrities to advocate for this shit for them wanting to go get checked on their own mental health. So salute to Kanye for that. I'm a person that pushes people for mental health. I observe that shit in a lot of people. I understand why people behave the way that they behave and why people are who they are. And it's the fact that a lot of people won't go get these diagnoses when they're there. There's a lack of trust for the medical world and shit like that, which is just an ignorance among people. So salute to him for speaking on this shit. Uh, Even though I think he's copping out on shit, but not. Maybe he's not copping out on his old statements. And there's definitely was some bipolar reasoning behind that shit. So continue on. Says, that's what he's saying. You think that everyone else is overreacting. You feel like you're seeing the world more clearly than ever. Says when in reality, you're losing grip. Says you're losing your grip entirely. Facts. Says once people label you as crazy, you feel as if you cannot contribute anything meaningful to the world. It's easy for people to joke and laugh it off. It's easy for people to joke and laugh it off when in fact, this is a very serious debilitating disease you can die from. According to the World Health Organization, which Trump took America out of, says in Cambridge University, people with bipolar disorder have a life expectancy, says that is shortened by 10 to 15 years on average, and a 2 to 3 times higher all-cause mortality rate than the general population. This is this is on par average. Not par average. This is on par with severe heart disease, type 1 diabetes, HIV, cancer, all lethal and fatal if left untreated. The scariest thing about this disorder is how pervasive it is when when it tells you you don't need help. Says it makes you blind but convinced you have insight. You feel powerful, certain, unstoppable. And that's true with a lot of people you see with this shit. Kanye's breaking down things that you notice when you see people around you who may suffer from that shit. All right, so continue on. Says, wait, where did I leave off at? Okay, there you go. He says, I lost touch with reality. Things got worse the longer I ignored the problem. I said and did things I deeply regret. Some of the people I love the most, I treated the worst. You endured fear, confusion, humiliation, and the exhaustion of trying to have someone who was, at times, unrecognizable. Looking back, I became detached from my true self. And I'm glad he recognized that. I rock with this damn apology. I rock with this apology. And my title may say otherwise because I didn't read this apology letter. And I want to leave the title as it is. Because if I dive into it, I begin to have a greater understanding of where Kanye is going with this shit. And I don't think this is so much of a tail tucking, but I think this dude is coming to a reality of accepting and acknowledging where he was wrong and the fact that a misdiagnosis on some shit and the fact he wasn't getting help, he finally come to terms. And maybe it's the girl that he fucking with. Maybe that girl done woke him up to get this shit because she's still with him. So continue on. Says in that fractured state, I gravitated towards the most destructive symbol I could find. the swastika, and even sold t-shirts bearing it. One of the difficult aspects of having bipolar type 1 are the disconnected moments, many of which I still cannot recall, that led to poor judgment and reckless behavior that oftentimes feels like an out of body experience. I regret and am deeply mortified by my actions in that state, and I am committed to accountability, treatment, and meaningful change. It does not excuse what I did, though. I am not a Nazi. Duh, we know that shit. Says R, an anti Semite. I love Jewish people. To the black community, which held me down through all. There you go. There you go. This is the most important part of this shit, Kanye. But I don't. Did Kanye really disrespect the black community? I guess. Let me go on. To the black community, says which, and Floyd need to do one of these goddamn black community apologies too. To the black community, says which held me down through all of the highs and lows and the darkest of times. The black community is unquestionably the foundation of who I am. I am so sorry to have let you down. I love us. Salute to you, goddamn Kanye. Salute for not ignoring that part of what it is. And there's even some white folks who need to do that shit too. I think majority of white people in this population probably need to make black community apologies, as well as the Latinos, Asians, the African immigrants. The list goes on, and as well as to the natives, just like us and the natives here in this country. All right, continuing on. Says in early 2025, says I fell into a 4-month long manic episode of psychotic, paranoid, and impulsive behavior that destroyed my life. As the situation became increasingly unsustainable, there were times I didn't want to be here anymore. So he's talking about suicide, it sounds like. Having bipolar disorder is says notable state of constant mental illness. Says when you go into a manic episode, you are ill at that point. Says when you are not in an episode, you are completely normal. And that's when the wreckage from the illness hits the hardest. Hitting rock bottom a few months ago, my wife encouraged me to finally get help. Salute to her. I knew it would have to be her. And we seen our one brother go through this shit. We seen our brother Real Rap go through this shit. Salute to my brother Real Rap. And we seen the way in which he acted on this shit. I think Fred was going through that shit. There's a lot of these cats you see on here with this shit. But salute to his lady. Man, look, I be just on point with shit. I just knew it had to be this lady involved in making this fool really realize that shit, and the fact that she stuck by this fool. Not only just for the money, she probably there for the money, but the fact that maybe through the course of them being together, she really cared for this crazy motherfucker. All right, so I have found comfort. So he has found comfort in Reddit forums of all places. Different people speak of being in manic or depressive episodes of a similar nature. I read their stories and realized that I was not alone. It's not just me who ruins their entire life once a year, despite taking meds every day and being told by the so-called best doctors in the world that I am not bipolar, but merely experiencing symptoms of autism. My world, my words as a leader in my community have global impact and influence. And my mania says I lost complete sight of that. As I find my new baseline, says as I find my new baseline and new center through an effective regime of medications, therapy, exercise, and clean living, I have newfound much needed clarity. I am pure. What is that? It says I am pouring my energy into positive, meaningful art, music, clothing, design, and other new ideals to help the world. I am not asking for sympathy or free pass, though I aspire to earn your forgiveness. I write today simply to ask for your patience and understanding as I find my way home. With love, yay. And salute to him for this goddamn letter, man. Salute to Kanye for this letter, man. And I walk back the damn statement of calling him a goddamn buck broken, tucking his tail type dude and all that other shit. And it could be to get back into the grace of shit, but the statements are the statements. The apologies, it seems authentic as hell to me. I ain't about to knock him. The fact that he brings awareness, it ain't so much just an apology. The apology was very short. The apology wasn't a highlight of I'm apologizing and bowing down to the Jewish community and all of that shit. Not only did he focus about the Jewish community, he also put primarily in the black community, but this is mainly to focus on an understanding of his mental health, to be an advocate, to speak out to other people, to not be ashamed of their mental states, to go get the help, not run away from that shit. Mark Summers, who writes his comments before I go live, says Kanye been out of his mind. Says not sure why people thought he was. Says he was ever rational thinking. Yeah, I didn't agree. When I was hearing him say that shit just as well as Kyrie, I wasn't rocking with that shit. Velocity Cut says niggas be loving the old Ye. Says they say the new Ye be spazzing. Sorry, the new Ye be spazzing. Says but when Ali turn up, says and B Ali says you can't ever change that nigga. Says back to Cassius. And then Velocity, oh, that's a rap song. And then Velocity says, "You believe Ye?" Shaking my head. Says he got an album dropping. No, I believe that, bro. I'm not. See, y'all use those common little threads about what people's motives are. Like I see through shit. I think we all see things through our own lens and shit. And I think I'm better at seeing shit than a lot of y'all motherfuckers. I believe that. I believe that statement because the statement wasn't fully apology. I think a lot of the articles or social media platforms, not even social media platforms, news network websites that I was seeing the title, what they highlight is Kanye apologizing and not them really going into letter because I think the apology draws people into it. That's what drew me into it. Like, oh, this fool Kanye here then got broken. And plus, because we was talking about Kanye yesterday. We was talking about Kanye yesterday and about his statements and how he couldn't tour and how they had a lock on him and all this other shit. Also let me say this. I'm gonna be doing a live about this black heavy metal, no, not heavy metal, but punk rock group, who they say may be some of the founders of punk rock music, whose music was hidden. And I've seen something I was reading a little bit on them about. They were signed to Clive Davis, and Clive Davis wanted to change their name. So this punk rock group is called Death. So I'm gonna be doing a live stream about them to go into a little bit of their history, and then on that music channel, the other channel I got to back up where we do music and play music. I want to play some of their music and listen to it over there. I listened to one of their songs, and it's called "Politician in My Mind," and I was like, "Damn, this is a little deep ass fucking song." Like I said, I'm really deep into music, new sound and music I never heard, and I pick up on it. A lot of people be wanting you to hate on it, especially like my brother Brandon Washington, my cousin fucking Deuce Times be wanting you to just hate everything you hear and shit. And I'm not like that with music. Up and OD in the building, salute. Velocity Cuss says the money says must have dried up. Says so he gotta kiss the wall says kiss the wall, start shaking my head. No, I don't think it's a money thing. I really think that was some sincere shit. I think that was some sincere shit from Kanye. Because the letter wasn't, as I read through the letter wasn't really too much an apology to them people. It wasn't an apology to them people. And then it was him observing where he was wrong as fuck at. Like we said, we seen our brother Real Rap go through this same goddamn mental disorder and shit. And then we seen other Real Rap ain't the first person I've ever seen go through this shit. I've watched many people whose mental state has changed. And I watched people go through this shit even towards the end of junior high and multiple people in high school. And then post high school go through that shit. And then Up and OD says, "Come on, bro." Says we know Ye says don't really mean that apology. No, I think he do, bro. I think he do. And then Up and OD saying true. And then Megazar in the building salute. He says wearing out his knees. Says to them people. Says cause. That's supposed to be him. Cause him. Oh, so it says because he can't exist in the spaces. Says he wants to because they own them. Mark Summers says, laugh out loud, says, get the fuck out of here. It says, white people got to apologize to you, goddamn right. They need to make a major apology. And then I won't apologize for knocking down the women in your community, though. And he says, you out your mind. And then Velocity Cut says, I don't believe he said or wrote any of that. Says, sounds like a crybaby. Says, not standing on business, move. Talking about standing on business. I think that's one of the dumbest terminologies that has come in the modern age of how people think is shit. Standing on business and all this other shit. That's destructive shit, homie. That's destructive shit. And that's why people are always wrong, because they believe standing on business. Sometimes what you stand on can be wrong as a motherfucker. And that's just the reality. That just shows where the weak character traits in people are, to where you believe standing on business and you can never be corrected on shit. Think that's the wrong mind state. Think that's the mind state of an idiot, and that's also the mind state of a dead man and a motherfucker whose life will be short. Sometimes you gotta. I don't give a fuck how strong our convictions is. Sometimes when you take a step back, you look at shit. Sometimes we be wrong than a motherfucker. So standing on business, it sounds tough. That shit's tough in the moment. It should sound good in the moment. But in reality, sometimes you gotta take a step away from what was the business you stood on. Sometimes that shit wrong as a motherfucker. Megazard says this sounds different. Says, but we'll see. Says none of us is his judge. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, the letter I took a different stance on Kanye. I rock with his apology and not so much. Let me stop calling it apology. It's him taking accountability and recognizing his mental state. But it's funny and shit that he brings up the crash shit. And then and the bougie in the building says, she says, hey to myself in the chat, says, I'm glad you're hitting on the I'm glad you're hitting on the subject. Yes indeed, yes indeed. And then Velocica says the first people he apologized to is the Tiny Hats. Says he owes the Carters an apology. I think the Carters fit into the black community as well, and the people that he's hurt. It wasn't just about Jewish people. Sometimes y'all got to clear your minds and better understand what you're hearing. That becomes the things about comprehension. Where we understand a lot of people lack comprehension shit. And then the fact that sometimes you don't have enough time to be specific for people that don't get shit. But I think his apology is probably to the Carters, most definitely. It's probably had called them motherfuckers as well. And that's just like the other day we was going through some of his music on whatever that album Brandon was playing. I think it was that religious album. It's like a black album. No, what was that shit called? Donda. Donda. He had Jay-Z on that shit. And then Velocity Cut says, hey, Quincy Veggie Jones says, you calling Hit Boy versus Mike Will Made It, says this Friday on Thriller. Oh, Triller is back? Shit, why not? Shit, why not? Hell yeah, let's do that shit. Friday. It depends on what time that shit come on, because my kids want me to get them too. Hell yeah, we doing that shit. Velocity Cut says, who you think got a deeper catalog? I can't be biased on that shit. I can't be biased on that shit. I don't know all of Mike Will Made It songs, and I don't know all of Hit Boy shit, but I know more of Hit Boy shit, unless it's some Mike Will Made It shit that I just don't know of. So I think Friday gonna be the perfect time. I don't want to be biased. I'm not biased. I ain't about to just rock with Hit Boy because he out of LA and shit. I ain't about to rock with him because of that shit. Uh, like I say, I don't buy into that bias shit. I don't buy into being stuck in a certain belief. Not being you know just open to change and shit. So I'm gonna rock with that shit. I had no idea they was even doing some shit. But hell yeah, I'm rocking with that shit. We can go live. I'll go live on the backup show and we play the actual shit until they kick us off that mug. Hell yeah. Yeah, I didn't know that. That should be good shit. There should definitely be some good shit between those two. I like that the artists, bring that music, and it really brings a highlight to the music. That's just like the little group. I mean, not the little group. Let me stop saying little. Just like the punk rock group that I want to pull up and check out the history on them. Mark Summers says you buy into racial bias. I don't buy into racial bias. I'll speak the truth on racism. It may not rock with you because you born into being a racist motherfucker and you normalize that shit. And do I blame you? You're old. You're older now, so yeah, I blame you on where you currently stand. But you got to blame the people who taught you that shit, who taught you the stupidity, and where the stupidity starts in households like y'all's is the church. Starts in the church. Starts in what people are teaching you, and it goes on and on. And then you hand over them books that come from your church, and you hand them over to other people that read them, and they buy into this interpretation that I guess you turn other cheeks to shit. But that's all I got, folks. I'm a then what time I got that other live set up? Hold on. I got that punk rock one set up for 6:30, I think. And then I'm gonna go live at 7:30. Because I definitely want to cover them, hit on some of their music. I'm gonna do a short live, read over some of their shit, and we'll go from there. I think the time on that is 6:30, and then I'll be on the music channel for the backup on that shit. Let me verify this shit real quick. Let me verify this. And then who was that? LL Cool J and the dude from CL Smooth, they got a good little channel I've been seeing. Let me stop using that word little. That sounds like some shit hoes be saying. But they got a good channel that is on YouTube where they go through samples and then they break down the samples, and then they got a DJ that goes into how the sample was used by the producer who brought it into a rap song and shit. So I think that's pretty deep as shit, especially because we be doing some shows on we do some shows on what's that called, on the use of samples and stuff. So I think that's pretty deep. Yeah. Oh, this show is at 7:45. Why set that? Let me change the time on it. I'm gonna set this time earlier than 7:45 for this next one. I'm gonna set it for the next 30 minutes. I'm gonna set the other one for the next 30 minutes, but I'm out. And he says, "Can you drop the?" She says, "Can you drop the backup channel link?" Oh yeah, yeah. Let me drop that real quick. Mike Johnson says, "What is that?" NSX says has some good punk rock, some good punk rock songs. I see. I never heard that. I don't know many punk rock music songs. It's funny. I'm gonna go into this one story with the old little chick I used to fuck with. The one who busted me in my eye. I always tell the story about her. It says if Mike Will made it, says it plays unforgettable, says and humble. Hold on, let me see if she got a picture on her Facebook while I'm over here on Facebook of her cousin. Hold on, let me see. Let me not put her page on here because you weird niggas be over there trying to follow her and shit. Hold on, let me see if she got a picture of her cousin. I'm gonna show this dude. And this the dude who was in that shit with Elizabeth Smart when the Utah girl had got that Utah girl who got kidnapped and there was this huge award out there for her. Let me see. It was that huge award out there for that girl. And these dudes, because they were punk rockers, and at they party, the dude who kidnapped this girl brought her to the fucking punk rock party they were having, and she's standing right behind him. And that fool always held that picture because he missed out on a huge reward. And they were just laughing at these people, like, what the hell are these weird ass people doing up in here? And damn, where's her cousin at? But the story is like they were some of the first people I ever heard punk rock from. And then we went to a little punk rock. This is when I went to Utah with this chick. And we went to the damn punk rock show. We go to the damn punk rock show, and these fools that are doing that music, I'm the only black dude in that motherfucker. I'm like, what the fuck are the dudes playing? But they were speaking out against a lot of like skinheads and shit. The music was just odd as hell for me to hear these people speaking out against skinheads and shit. And I'm like tripping. Then we leave from the little club out there and go to somebody's house. We go to somebody like there was a bunch of rich ass kids doing this shit. We go to like a mansion and shit with these damn fools, and they in there, talking about skinheads and standing up and talking about Utah. Let me see. Oh my god. And then what they on and shit. Let me see. I got one of my peoples out here. Let me see. I'm not going nowhere tonight. Let me see. Then how somebody gonna come out here on a damn Monday? Think I'm about to go over there. Hell no. So yeah, let me end this one. That's all I got on this one, folks. Let me end this one real quick. I'll be back. Oh yeah, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Getting the link for this page. Hold on. Let me see. This is the link. Hold on. Let me share this link. 1 second. Share the link. And this is gonna be the link to this channel. And then no, this is the link for the on this channel for the show I'm about to do. Hold on, let me go over here and get the link for where we do the live music at. 1 second. And then y'all can subscribe. I'll be doing that probably like 7:30. I'm gonna go live here in the next 30 minutes to go over the history of this group, which would be real short. All right, hold on, let me see. This is gonna be real short. All right, let me copy the link here. And I got this time set up for 8:30, which I'm gonna change that too. I'm gonna start that much earlier than that. I'm gonna start that much earlier. Hold on 1 second. Go and copy the link and put this in the chat. Hold on. One second. Let me share the link here. Here we go. Copy. And throw this in the chat. So here's the actual link. Let me remove that last one I put in there because that one is not it. This one is it. All right, here we go. So this is the link to the where I'm gonna do the punk rock live stream and actually do the music. And let me see, got a few more comments. He says probably only black dude you know says know of that saw Def Leppard live. And then see, I heard of them groups, I never heard their music. The most I used to hear punk rock is if somebody driving by playing that shit, or back when I used to go to the gym a lot. And if it was like a gym with like like with white folks in and shit, I hear them playing like that punk rock. No, that wasn't even punk rock. That was heavy metal they'll be playing. Because heavy metal a high energy ass type music for people that can rage to that shit. And he says, I remember some of it. And then WMS 702 says Bad Brain says the best black punk rock band out of DC. Also, y'all listen to punk rock in this mug. And then Bougie Barbie says, do you like punk rock? Hell no. Hell no, I don't like that shit. I only want to cover it because my sister, the one who found us like a year or two ago, I seen in a post she put on Instagram and it was showing this group. And this group was kind of being attributed as kind of the founding fathers of rock and roll. I mean, not of rock and roll, but of punk rock, and they never got their credit. Even rock and roll being a music genre founded by black folks who were just, not recognized for, kind of the music genre that they created. And especially with black folks, is our sound, our liking for certain sounds constantly migrated shit. We abandoned that shit. White folks stepped right in there, appreciated, and took over. And then Velocity Cuz says, "Hey, Cuz, says you think Nicki Minaj says going through the same shit as yeah, absolutely." Says she been going in, absolutely, she going through that shit, absolutely. Hers ain't through the no frontal lobe shit. Hers is her world coming down on her. That fame, that celebrity, her career is crashing down, changed her mental state. And then Bougie says I love rock, says in every kind of music except country. Yeah, I do not like country music. Don't like rock music. I appreciate rock music if I hear it live. Like for me to like rock music, for me to hear it live and then playing that shit. But to buy like a rock album and listen to it in the car, fuck nah. Unless I listen to it on some nostalgic shit, like I may have heard it or it may have played on MTV or played in the music or some show I'm watching, I'll pick up on it from that. But to sit and listen to rock, absolutely not. Says, I thought you liked Maroon 5. I appreciate their music. I never brought their album. Like I said, from watching TV, I seen Maroon 5 music on TV. And some of their songs, I rocked with it. But to listen to it if it came on the radio, I was turning that radio. Like I don't listen to rock and roll like that. I listen to black music. Same thing. I don't listen to music that is kind of a white based music. I'm black. I'm American. I'm American motherfucker. Shit. America is full of black cultural shit. The strongest form of American culture comes from the black side of shit. So I'm gonna listen to what's black. Got my own side of culture. That's why I remember I had to tell this white girl that I worked with who was training me in the job I had got. And while we were working, she was playing music at low volume and shit. And she was like, I was like, oh, who are you listening to? Look, this is how offended this girl got. Because they believe, and a lot of people do that shit. They believe that you're supposed to, they buy into this assimilation shit. They won't appreciate what comes from your side of shit. These dudes had this belief, and this is where you get this type of bullshit that goes on in this country of wanting to dominate and wanting to destroy cultures and make their culture is the dominant culture and all this other shit, like through trying to make it through shadow force, like where you can't see the shit, but trying to force you into shit. So the girl playing this shit, and I'm like, who is this? Like, what are you listening to? And she make it saying names. She's like, you heard of him? I'm like, no, I never heard of it. Then she bring up some other name. I said, no, I never heard of it. I said, and I was trying to go from not having to really give her what I ended up telling her. And I was like, no, listen, I haven't heard of that. Then she want to bring up some Beatles shit. I said, man, I do not listen to the Beatles. I don't listen to none of that music. And then she was like, what? How don't she turn it red and getting angry, like getting really upset? I said, listen, I said, that's white music. I said, that's what you listen to. I said, I'm black. I have my own culture. I have my own sound of music. I can bring up names that you may have never heard of. And I'm not talking about no radio shit. She tried to bring up, she listened to Snoop and all that. Yeah, you know Snoop's radio songs. You don't listen to it. You don't listen to rap. And rap ain't all that I listen to. Rap and R&B ain't the only forms of black music. And I said, what you listening to, some black person that started that shit. Now I said, but as far as what you listening to, I don't listen to that. This is a girl who's in the rock, hair pink and all that shit. I don't listen to what you listen to. This girl, mine, when I used to see this girl, she would say hi and all this shit. The next time from me saying that shit to her, even going on, she didn't even want to speak anymore. So when I see her at fucking little team meetings and shit, and she be sitting at the table, I wave at this bitch, and she act like she ain't see me. So then I treat her like, oh, that's what you all want, then fuck you too. And then we get into like some other shit where there's other people around. She want to act like we know each other. And guess what? I'm gonna keep that same shit. I look at it like I don't know you. Treat her just like that. Like don't speak to me. Like don't speak to me because these people around here. Like fuck you. Because you still hot from that damn reality that I spoke to. And that same reality I talked to my tank commander when he try to turn his back when I slammed that MP and try to allow me to get an Article 15 and receive all that disciplinary action and shit because he was still mad from when I told him about I don't kiss white people ass because he bringing up why don't more black people serve the military and serve their country. And I look at him like, where the fuck have you been? Like they ain't like shit. Our battles have been against this damn country. Fuck you think Ali was talking about? And that white dude was mad. A lot of white dudes, just like same thing with Mark Summers, white coming there, the face of reality. These fools do not like to hear that shit. It's why they create fantasy places like Disneyland and shit. And then and the Velocity Cuss says Oasis, Metallica says the only shit I can get jiggy with says when it comes to rock. And then Mark Summers says you listen to black rock. No, I listen to black music. Says and hate on other stuff. Says because you think it's white music. Says but when they says but when says but then want to do a live talking about how punk rock says it's black music, so you can justify listen to it. That ain't never what you heard me say, dummy. You ain't never heard me say nothing. Just like fucking Jimi Hendrix was involved in his kind of music. And like I stated, Jimi Hendrix didn't do music for that black people listen to. The same thing even with this rock group. This rock group even recognized when they were doing punk rock that many black people back then said they were doing music for white folks. And then and to behold in their building, salute, salute. And then because there was more of a soul sound that black people rock with. They didn't listen to rock and roll and all that kind of sounding shit. And then that fast paced sound and music. And then Mark Summers says Americans are open to many cultures, says not closed minded like what? No, other Americans, not Americans who look like you. You some of the most closed minded motherfuckers walking this planet. I don't fucker ever talk about open mindedness. Fool. Shit ain't open mindedness ain't what comes from where you grew up at or what you was raised with. Talking about America as a melting pot. Well, how about you go tell that shit at your family goddamn event? And he says, yeah, that's ignorant. Like the fools hate when a black person speaks some shit that is truly an expression of how shit is conducted in your household. Like you fucking sound stupid as fuck, Mark Summers. I love exposing your stupidity, bro. And then Bougie says, I bet you know a lot of music. I bet you know a lot of music. She doesn't, says she doesn't know too. Says, you like what you like. Says, nothing wrong with that. Absolutely. Because when I was telling the damn dumbass chick that shit and bringing up music, I bring up certain songs just on some basic shit. Shit off of Snoop Dogg albums that she act like she listened to. She didn't know nothing about the shit. And that's probably why she's mad because I made her look stupid for making her little dumbass comments. And then Mark said she probably was related to Mark Summers. Says yes, that's because you were talking to a pink haired liberal. No, she was actually conservative, and I think y'all sound dumb as fuck when y'all getting this liberal and conservative. You see Donald Trump kick that little chump. I told you Donald Trump his administration is gonna start having fall guys. So he kicked the little border patrol motherfucker up out of Minnesota and shit. Get fall guy, just like the rest of them. Shit crumbling over there. Get ready for shutdown of the government number 2 as well. Always right on you dummies. And then Bougie says the military says it's full of black people. Not really. Since I was military too. Since my whole family was military. I wouldn't say it's full of black folks, not at all. Velocity Cut said he in there rolling. And then Mark Summers says, since I stay exposing you, says for your ignorant racial bias, never. I stay clowning you. And then Velocity Cut says, not gonna lie, says you do be low key contradicting. Man, you ain't never that's why when y'all be wanting to say I contradict myself, label the contradictions. Label them. And I'm gonna show you a consistency. So label that shit. Or you may be talking about Mark Summers. And then Bougie says Bovino gone, says I love it. Yeah, he a fall guy. He doing all that shit, trying to kiss the ass and pander to this little racist ass base in America and treat people without dignity. And then the behavior, because the culture that spread through the organization Bovino ran, which is a poor ass culture in that damn group, go out there and smoke the second white person in the same city. And now Trump is going through the turmoil. He sent somebody up there to remove that dumbass because the culture in that whole organization is dead throughout the whole government that Trump runs. The culture in there is bad. It's a sick ass culture. You ever worked in an environment where the culture is fucked up like that? Like, ain't nothing healthy about that shit. It's one of the most toxic motherfucking places to ever be. You end up with a Kanye like fucking bipolar diagnosis working in environments like that. Velocity Cut says it's crash out, says in white liberal season. No, but speak on the consistencies, not it's crash out in white liberal season. And then RL says salute to RL. But folks, I'm about to get out of here. I'm gonna see if they're gonna highlight the contradictions that I make, which you can't even point out. Like a lot of y'all be getting jealous of the shit because I'll be highlighting it's always right shit. And I do it out of comedy, but it's a lot of truth in that motherfucking shit. Y'all just be wrong on shit. But let's get ready. But Mark Summers, I'm gonna stay cooking you, stay waking you up. Each one teach one. The more I teach you, the better you get because you just been raised dumb. And it's a common thing of being poorly raised and wanting people to assimilate and be led by fools like y'all. Like, and that's the reason why America is falling. It's the reason why America is falling because of the delusion of you guys and the fact that we got so many silver spoon ass people who are allowed to run this damn country and run this country while sticking it to people. And it's just simple as that. But I think the world is waking up, and it's just sad with what people got to go through to wake up. It is sad that people got to go through trauma, torture, and abuse for them to wake the fuck up. Rather than being able to predict shit properly, using the information that is set before them to figuring shit out and knowing who people and what people will be. And that is just crazy. And that's why I keep so mentally sane than a motherfucker, because I know who I am, what I won't put up, what I won't deal with. And that shit same should go with the side with relationship shit. Shit I won't put up. That's why I played my theme song yesterday on that TQ album we was doing the music. It's my theme song. I don't lead with that shit. Walk away from shit in a minute. And then bitches be want to be cool if they ain't bitter with me and shit, because they recognize where the fuck I was coming from and what I was right on. And then it just throughout life, I'll be right on a lot of shit. What I won't deal with, put up with, where I won't go, what I won't motherfucking do. But that's all I got, folks. But what we're gonna do, for those who want to tune in, we're gonna talk about this black punk rock group briefly, and then go check out some of their music called Death. The group is called Death. What a fucking name. What a hellified goddamn name for a group. Let me put these dudes on here. Called Death. And these were brothers. So these are three brothers from out of Detroit, Michigan, when the Detroit sound was a Motown thing. I think these dudes work for Motown, but I'm gonna get into the story and shit. These dudes had a group called Death that Columbia, they got signed by Columbia with Clyde Davis or something I was reading. And he wanted them to change their name, and they said absolutely not. But I'm out of here, folks. I'll see y'all in like 15 minutes. Peace. Let me see.